It's Mauritius Independence Day, and the island nation off the coast of Africa is celebrating the anniversary of their beautiful tropical territory being liberated from British colonial rule. Well, most of it anyway. You see, these are the Chagos Islands, 7 sun-kissed atolls deep in the remote Indian Ocean, which constitute the UK's last remaining colony in Africa. The Portuguese were the first Europeans to lay eyes on the originally uninhabited archipelago way back in the 1500s. Over the centuries, a thriving African-Asian Creole community began to call the islands home, fishing, trading, and working on the many coconut plantations that emerged in the 19th century. For more than 150 years, the territory was administered as part of the French and later the British colonies of Mauritius. Fast forward to 1965. The calls for Mauritian independence are growing too loud for the British colonizers to ignore. So they cut a deal. Grant Mauritius independence, but keep the Chagos Islands for themselves. They call it the British Indian Ocean Territory, and say they'll use it for communications purposes. What they don't mention is that they plan to lease the islands to the United States as a military base, who naturally don't want any pesky locals sniffing around their shiny new strategic outpost. And so, between 1968 and 1973, every last one of the archipelago's more than 1,000 residents are systematically rounded up and forcibly deported from the only home they've ever known. Survivors describe being forced onto overcrowded boats and sharing the decks with livestock, with little time to gather food supplies or precious heirlooms, or to say goodbye to the many ancestral graves they left behind. The Chagosians were scattered across the globe, with many settling in the nearby Seychelles, the UK itself, or on the Mauritian mainland, forced to endure the poverty of exile. The UK has repeatedly rebuffed efforts for repatriation and legal challenges, but the tides are starting to shift in the islanders' favor. In 2019, the UN's International Court of Justice ruled that the decolonization of Mauritius was not lawfully completed, and ordered the UK to hand back the Chagos Islands as rapidly as possible. That same year, Britain suffered a crushing defeat at the General Assembly, with countries voting to condemn their ongoing occupation of the islands 116 to 6. Just last year, the UN's Special International Maritime Court in Hamburg also labeled the UK's occupation illegal, and once again confirmed Mauritian sovereignty over the archipelago. Now Mauritius is hoping to turn these legal victories into an on-the-ground reality. Last month, the country organized the first unescorted visit of exiled Chagosians to their beloved homeland in 50 years. Led by Mauritius's ambassador to the UN, the delegation raised the Mauritian flag and sang their national anthem on the soil they were forced to leave behind. Global tech companies have also been asked to fall in line, with Apple removing any reference to the so-called British Indian Ocean Territory from their online maps, and Google being asked to do the same. Much of the British public supports repatriation, as do major opposition parties like the SNP and former Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn. But decolonization will remain an uphill battle. Diego Garcia, the largest of the islands, is of enormous strategic importance to the United States. Together with Andersen Airfield in Guam, it's the country's only military base of its kind in the Indo-Pacific, and played a key role in the US invasions of Iraq and Afghanistan. But Mauritius remains steadfast in seeing the decolonization of their country complete. And with the international community and law on their side, the uprooted Chagosians can only hope that it will come to pass within their lifetimes. Daniel Plafker, CGTN.